Hello, I'm Johnny. Welcome to the Art of Footsies. This is chapter 4, Poking.
Ow! Quit it.
So this is the third final side of the triangle. Pretty soon we'll be able to put this all together. So let's recap. If my opponent whiffs a button, we whiff punish. If I want to avoid whiffing my own button, we must approach first. So how do we stop our opponent from approaching? We poke them.
Ow! Quit it.
If my opponent is approaching, walking forward, that means they're not blocking. If my opponent's not blocking, then we can simply hit them. Sun Tzu says in The Art of War, you can be sure of succeeding in your attack if you only attack places that are undefended. So if I predict my opponent is going to approach, then I preemptively stick out a button to interrupt them. In Machabu's Guilty Gear article, it talks about Okiwaza, which means that you preemptively make a move, because it covers a certain space or because it wins against certain moves. We're predicting our opponent has decided a space, or mentally drew a line, they would like to approach to. We're not letting them get to that spot. We're cutting them short. They have a plan and we're interrupting that plan. Poking is kind of an intuition that strengthens over time. You'll get a feel of when your opponent wants to approach and just poke them.
Ow! Quit it.
This applies to very close ranges. If you feel your opponent's going to microstep forward to throw you, poke them out of it. But be aware they can stagger their buttons or frame trap you for trying this. So you gotta make a prediction and feel that your opponent's gonna approach and then poke them.
Ow! Quit it.
If you poke your opponent enough times, they'll eventually block. This will put them in the waiting state, or sashikaishi. And then that opens up all the tactics we talked about in the previous chapters, right? So again, this stuff is kind of boring to replicate in training mode, so I recommend focusing on this stuff in some casual sets. So that's poking. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right? A pretty direct counter to the last chapter. So join me for the next final chapter where we can put this all together.
Hey, what's with this?
Ow! Quit it.